When I was younger, I was obsessed with Harry Potter. The idea that magic was real always intrigued me, and although I knew it wasn't real, I remember being pretty disheartened not getting the letter to Hogwarts in year 5. In year 11, I started drinking and smoking weed pretty often and was curious about other drugs. The idea that you could take something and feel a certain type of way or see things that weren't there reminded me of magic, because to me, that was the closest thing to it that we have in this world. I remember talking to my friends who we would call Barjo and Hex for this story. Me and Barjo smoked weed pretty often together, and we were keen on trying some other shit. I remember talking to Hex, and she mentioned how she could easily get M. I remember being kind of conflicted on getting it because it could be cut with some other drugs, but she told me that her plug was chill and we would get it pure. The thing about Hex was she had a drug problem and had overdosed a lot, resulting in her being hospitalized on several occasions. I was even there when she OD'd at my friend's house party, and his parents had to drive her to the hospital. You'd think this would have made me more cautious, but I remember thinking at the time that this meant she knew her shit, which in a way is also true. Next thing I know, me, Bajo, and Hex all meet up after school and wait in the parking lot for someone to show up. Me and Bajo were pretty excited because this was going to be the first time we were going to have a proper drug experience. Hex was excited for us as well and was happy to trip with us. Some guy shows up in the parking lot and Hex hands him the money in his car and then gives us the M and drives off. As we're about to take it, Hex's mom calls her and says she'll pick her up. Her mom was very aware of her drug problem and would lose her mind if she knew what we were going to do. To make it not seem sus, the three of us got a lift from her mom and started to chill in her room. We then decided to take it at the same time and leave before the effects came on. The problem was Hex's mom was super strict, and she said she would give us a lift with her little sister in a while. So we had to wait around and hope that the effects didn't start taking place in front of her. Finally, after what seemed like ages, we got into Mom's car and she started driving with the three of us in the back seat. At some point in the drive, I was getting a slight tingling sensation in the back of my brain, and then a gradual burst of euphoria. I started looking at Bajo and mouthing to him, "You feel this?" And he said no, but was smiling at me, probably because I was in a position where I had to hide it, which wasn't easy. I had never felt anything like this. After a few more minutes, her mom dropped us at the bus stop interchange because Hex's sister was going to catch the bus to the city. When Bajo stepped out of the car, it all came on at once for him. He looked at me and said that it started kicking in, and we both started laughing with excitement. It must have been pretty obvious that we were on something, because the three of us were all grinning and laughing amongst each other. Hex's little sister caught on and started telling her that she was going to tell her mom, which must have been a drama for her. Meanwhile, me and Baja were too busy pacing around the bus stop, talking about how great we were feeling. It was such a rush, I'll never forget it. It was like a wave after wave of pleasure crashing all over you. I couldn't sit still. Meanwhile, Bajo had melted on the ground. We were essentially peeking at a busy bus interchange near our school, so there were people that we knew coming by and talking to us. I remember chatting to so many people that I normally wouldn't have ever talked to. I had literally no social anxiety, and I felt the need to pour out how happy I was to other people and express how I was feeling. It was pretty obvious that I was on drugs, but I didn't care. And it was a nice memory because these guys were happy for us and just being chill. It would come time for them to catch the bus, and I remember dapping everyone up before they left, and to have a good life and all this other corny shit. Then I remember I had made a playlist beforehand on my phone, trippy songs to listen to while taking M, because I remember hearing how it would make the music sound so good. I put my AirPods in, and the first song I played was Stargazing or something by Travis Scott. And when the beat hit, I felt like my whole body was vibrating and I got chills. This was, to this day, the strongest effect listening to music has ever had on me. For a good half an hour, I was just pacing back and forth, listening to music, gurning so hard. We eventually left the bus stop and started coming down. Me and Baja were talking a whole bunch, while Hex was just chilling. We had all taken the same amount, but she had built a tolerance to this, so she was really the trip sitter and made sure we drank enough water. It got dark and we walked over to the lake, and I remember lying on a bench, like a homeless person, and closed my eyes listening to the music again, which still flooded my brain with dopamine, but less extreme this time. I could visualize the beats in the music and was at peace for a while. It was around midnight, and about 6 hours had passed since taking it, so we all thought about going to bed. But I live super far away, and there was no buses running. Hex told me she could sleep at her place, so we said bye to Barjo and started walking to hers. I was still coming down a bit, so I just started talking at Hex about how I'd felt. But I completely forgot her sister told her mum about the three of us being on drugs. We arrived at her house, and she told me to wait outside. I watched her walk in and close the door behind her, and as I sit down to take a minute to relax and watch the stars, I hear screaming from inside. Hex's mum was losing her shit at her inside, and the fact that it was probably like 2 a.m. didn't help. I'm basically listening to a domestic dispute happening for what seemed like ages, and I thought she was gonna wake up the whole neighborhood before I hear a loud slam and everything goes quiet. I start to think I'm going to have to find my way back home with no charge on my phone when Hex comes out the front door. She smiles at me and says it's okay to come in, but to be quiet because her mom doesn't know I'm here. In any other circumstance, I would have just left and been totally paranoid even thinking about spending the night. But I was still on drugs and super agreeable, so I said fuck it and snuck into a room and crashed into bed. This night and a few nights after, I wasn't fully the same. I remember listening to music the next day and it hurt my brain. As in, the sensation I felt was irritating, uncomfortable, when normally listening to music back then especially was ingrained in my routine whenever I was alone. It was also really difficult to sleep afterwards, and I can feel my brain still overflowing with serotonin when I just wanted to feel normal. This went on for a good week, and I remember fully embracing the consequences of my actions and making peace with the idea that I really did fuck up my brain. After a while, I felt normal again, but I still don't really like listening to music the same way I used to. Sometimes I wonder if there's a reduced capacity that I have now when it comes to feeling happiness, but I can't be sure. This was a drug that I did once, but because of these after effects, I never wanted to do it again.